Hello, welcome to Miniature Realms. My name's Stuart and welcome to episode 8 of The Old Worlders. I'll be joined by my co-host Mark and we'll be discussing BattleMarch again and asking the question, is it here to stay or is it a relaunch fad?
Miniature Realms is proudly sponsored by Counter-Attack Bases. They stock a wide range of counters, gaming aids and movement trays for multiple game systems and offer custom items to suit your club, your event or even your podcast or YouTube channel. Check out the link in the video description.
Just after we finished recording, Games Workshop posted on Warhammer Community that these first 5 BattleMarch boxes are coming really soon. I think it's really fantastic news that they're not going to be dragging their feet with us at all. We need starter armies for new players to come and play the game now, should they not want to play the armies that are in that core box. So I think that's really positive. So bear that in mind when you're listening to us chatting. If there are any comments you think, well, surely they know that these boxes are out. We didn't at the time we were having a conversation. This news turned up just after, but I think it's fantastic. I think everything we say is valid. It doesn't really contradict us much at all, but this just gives you a little heads up. We're back again, Mark. How are you doing? Episode 8. We're cracking through these.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it? Episode 8 already. Who would have thought it? It's yeah. No, I'm great, Stu. Are you well?
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, we're wearing the same t-shirts as we were in episode 7, which just coincidence for sure.
Time twisters, trick of the light.
Trick of the light for sure. So we're going to be talking a bit more about BattleMarch, and we do talk a lot about BattleMarch on the channel. We won't always just talk about BattleMarch, but you may have just watched a little sort of, not a review as such, take away my 5 favorite things from this wonderful book here. But I think BattleMarch is so much of a central thing to this relaunch. So we wanted to talk about it as from a more of a macro kind of view. Is this a big thing for Games Workshop moving forward? Is BattleMarch going to be something we hear about with all of the releases, and is there going to be a section in each Arcane journal? Is this going to drive the game now, or is it just a bit of a fad at this relaunch and it will sort of disappear and go away? And I thought it'd be interesting to explore that while looking at what they've just delivered to us and what we know is coming in the future. So I mean, moving away from the order of the nose, Mark, do you want to, I've just been talking lots, do you want to kick us off? What are your initial thoughts on that?
I mean, I love BattleMarch. It fits the niche perfectly for me in the fact that you can still play Warhammer. You can get it done very, very quickly. It's perfect for a Friday night down the club, or if you've only got a couple of hours to play at the weekend, just get a quick game in with one of your friends. I'm interested in that GW have picked this route to take. I think it's quite astute of them. I've been playing BattleMarch since that scenario was launched, toppling the Waystones or whichever one it was. And I really enjoy it. So they've obviously had a lot of good feedback about it that has told them that, do you know what, this probably will fit what we're looking to do, and give us an introduction to the bigger old world picture, as it were. So I think they've been pretty clever here, in all honesty. And I do have to say that the sculpts in the first 2 boxes, I mean, I know the Cathay ones, as we said before, are old sculpts, but both, you know, they're nice, aren't they? The ones in the starter boxes. I mean, they're really nice. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, positive for me, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't think we can call the Cathay sculpts old yet. They're just they're just not the newest thing anymore, because we've had some chaos since then. But I mean, I think for me, the whole focus on BattleMarch for this starter set, with the 2 BattleMarch pointed armies in it, the fact that we're following up very shortly afterwards with 2 more BattleMarch army boxes, which are the same armies but a bit more rounded, I suppose. That's probably going to be the long term, what we see on the shelf as the starter thing. It's really strong that there's 3 BattleMarch rules on the website, because they want to make sure that everyone's included. If you an existing player and you don't need that rule book, and they're very conscious of that. And I know they're very conscious of this. They don't want people to feel like they have to go and buy that new rulebook. So they wanted to give you what you're missing out with the update for free. And that's that BattleMarch rules. And if you've bought War of Settlers Fury, that stuff is free. You know, so they've updated your rules. Doesn't matter, because the update is for free. That's 6 pages, I think, out of this book is for free. They did temporarily put up the other part, all the other rules in this book for free. I know a lot of people will have that saved, and no doubt people will be sharing it somewhere as well. It's disappeared from the download section, so I think that maybe wasn't intended to go up quite yet. But that focus as well, and we can surmise from the Q&A as well that there more BattleMarch boxes are coming, and from the pictures they're in here. So I think what that says to me is that they are modernizing the beginner's journey into the game through all of the, instead of battalion boxes, we've got these BattleMarch boxes, which are essentially a different version of the battalion box. So if you don't want to play BattleMarch, they're still a use to you. They are a way of starting a particular faction. They might not be the units you need, in which case you go and buy the individual boxes as you always did, as players always did before. And I think some of these BattleMarch boxes might double up quite well. Some of them won't. Some of them will double up quite well. They'll make your half-size units a full size, and they will. The dwarven one would be a good example of that. Makes your units bigger, gives you maybe 2 units of your gunners, your quarrelers, and gives you a full 4 gyrocopters, which is what a lot of I've played a couple of forces. You do see it at 2,000 points quite a lot, especially now they're not quite so zippy zoomy anymore. They might not be quite as oppressive, but a lot of them will double up quite nicely. The Chaos one will be good. Will give you 2 big blocks, and yes, you're going to double up any characters. I get that, but there's always eBay for selling extras off. A lot of them will double up quite nicely and still provide you with a good build. The High Elf one might not be the most competitive, but a couple of Sky Cutters, increasing your size of your Sea Guard and things, another Chariot. These are all builds that are viable and I think better than the old ones. They're not perfect, and I know there'll be comments, people going, this is just not competitive, etc. I don't think they're designing them to be competitive ever, by the way. People just get your heads around that.
It's an introduction box, and I would counter that anybody's thoughts on that with saying that, you know, the battalion boxes were very hit and miss as to whether or not they were competitively based as well. So some of them were insane value, some of them were probably not worth buying. So I think this overall is a far better way to introduce yourself into the hobby as a new player, and have all of the structure that GW have put in place to be able to enjoy BattleMarch as you start your Warhammer journey. Or if you're an existing player who just wants to collect a new army, then you know what you're doing anyway. But it might be nice if you've got a friend who you're getting into Warhammer, buy a box each, and then do it as a sort of like joint venture between the 2 of you. There's nothing better than Warhammer with friends. And doing that sort of thing and hobbying together is great as well. You know, get yourself set up, a couple of painting nights a week or whatever, chatting on Discord and, you know, bragging rights and stuff, and, you know, laying out the history of your forces. And it's great. I think it's a really, really, really positive stance. It's a really, really good way to introduce all of the new players to the game, as well as having the value in balance of providing something for the existing players. So good job, really. I think GW, good job. And I don't think people tell them that enough. There's a lot of doom and gloom out there about them, and, you know, how horrible they are. But when they get it right, they do get it right. And this is one of those occasions where they, you know, absolutely have got it right, or as far as we can see so far anyway.
Yeah, it certainly feels that way. It doesn't. It's not like they're replacing battalion boxes that were just these wonderful, brilliant army boxes that were really nicely balanced, and now giving you this smaller version of it. It feels like that they weren't great before. They were hit and miss, as you said, and these will probably be hit and miss as well. But they become viable in another way if you want to start for new players and you want to start playing with just what's in that box, whereas the other battalion boxes weren't. And if you're not interested in the smaller games, it doesn't affect you at all. So it might be
No.
you do the maths: is it good value for me to buy one of these BattleMarch boxes or not? And it's as simple as that, and it doesn't affect you. The majority of people will be playing larger games, but it just gives that really nice. We can bring this as a starter set. For new players as a way into the game that doesn't involve the core set. If you don't want it, you can pick up your box and pick up your core rulebook, and you can go. Especially with all of the stuff that's available for free online now. You don't need the army. I've never say don't buy the books because I think you should. I think they're great, but you don't need any of the books now because you use one of the online army building resources, and all your stats and all your rules for your armies are there. So you could go super cheap, buy a BattleMarch starter box and the core rulebook, and you've got your core rules. You could even not even buy the core rule book. How you learn to read the rules on the reference, old world reference, I don't know. But if you've got someone that shows you how to play and you use the app, and the rules are free for BattleMarch, you could just get away with just buying one of those boxes as well now. And you've got enough in there to play the game. Whereas beforehand, most of those battalions required at least extra purchases of characters and things like that. You can buy one of those boxes, stick it together, and play a game. Get your first intro game as soon as you built it. And that was never possible before. So I think that's really strong. And I don't think that will go away. And I think there's an important comparison as well with what you see in some of their other games. So there'll always be, oh, this is a start collecting box. This is a spearhead box. This is a combat patrol box. And there's definitely a lot of comparisons with those, partly just because of the literal size of the box. Because I've got a feeling they're going to be that size because they fit nicely on a shelf.
Yep.
But the reality is, I think these are better than all of those things. So the old start collecting boxes were a bit of a random collection. So probably most closely aligned, but the old start and collecting didn't really come with a list that you could play at a certain game level. And then you have Spearhead, which many Age of Sigmar players will tell you that it's fun, but it's not the full game of Age of Sigmar. They've made some rules changes in the way it works. Now, I don't play Age of Sigmar, so I don't know. And then you've got Combat Patrol 40k, which gives you a set fixed list, but they don't tell you the points. And it's not really designed. Yes, you could use it as a way to start collecting your miniatures, but as soon as you start adding units to it, it's a bit different. And what you can't do is make your own combat patrols up because there's not really a set points. They just kind of fudge that behind in the background for you. And with BattleMarch, you don't need these boxes either. You can design your own BattleMarch, and they say that very clearly in the book that these are they will provide those boxes, and these will be armies, and they will be around the 600 point mark. Mark sat there and worked out all the points along with many other people. The stuff that's shown in this book, they are all aimed at 600 points or thereabouts. So that's clearly what they're delivering to us. But you've got more options. You're not tied into just combat patrol or just spearhead. You can use these as a starter for an army to play BattleMarch to start with while you're painting up other units, or you can make your own BattleMarch and still play BattleMarch. So I think it's so much more flexible, and it doesn't tie you into playing a version of the game that isn't Warhammer. It's just a smaller size. That's all it is. It's still Warhammer. The main core rules work exactly the same. And I think that's one of the strengths. What is why I think it'll stick around, because it's just a perfect way of saying you can do all these things with it. It's your entry to the game, but it's also still Warhammer.
Yeah, it's very core. It's still Warhammer. It's just a smaller scaled down version of it that enables you to get to grips with how units work and things like that. Yeah, it's just really clever. And you're not stuck to being what's in those boxes. Those are only suggested started forces for perhaps new players or whatever. If you're an experienced player, then you know which bits and pieces you've got to buy to make your whatever pointage you've allocated to it for. You know what you've got to buy, so you just take it from there. So I like that it's really open like that. I like that they've dropped the points to 400 and gone between 400 and 750. You can play a game. I like that they have made it as open as they have with regarding troop selection and everything for that. allowing for what experience level you've got. There's something for everybody. Nobody's getting hurt by the way that the start set has been produced. Yeah, big thumbs up.
Yeah, yeah. I agree. So, if you what do you think about the future for it? Do you think that we could see um, a, a second BattleMarch box for a particular faction that they skew towards an army of infamy or a theme or something like that? Do you think that's something we might see in the future?
That would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Mm,
That would be interesting. Um, I don't know. I think it would be a good idea. I'm not
mm,
sure how viable it is in the way that you'd be able to package and produce it,
hmm.
unless the the forces were all sort of like based around the same core block and then had a small selection of different units um,
Yeah.
around them. I hadn't really considered that, to be honest with you, Stu. So I think that's something that could be really interesting. I'd only considered it from the fact of this is how you get into
Yeah.
Warhammer. This is the Battle March box for that particular faction.
Hmm.
Oh, by the way, once you've built your Battle March box up, there are other armies of infamy that you can
Yes.
play using that faction, and that would enable you to branch out and get more troops, or if you wanted to do one of those. Um, yeah, I don't know logistically wise how they would do that.
Yeah.
Could be a lot of thinking, couldn't it, involved in that? So unsure. Would like
The,
to
re-
see
the,
it.
the
Probably
reason I thought
won't, I would
about it,
think.
well, the reason I thought about it because I definitely like there to be a core of these start collection that are always on the
Mm,
menu, so to speak. That's the default starter set, like the old battalions were.
yeah,
The reason that got me thinking about it is when they released an arcane journal and some new miniatures, we had the reinforcements
mm,
box delivery tool for new things, the FOMO box, because it was limited edition. Now, are we still going to see those reinforcements boxes like we got with the Marauders, like we got with the Peasants? Or
crikey.
will they now, could they now be delivered at the same time as a new Arcane Journal into an alternative Battle March that was a FOMO Battle March box for those new miniatures, smaller units again? So they're maybe not so much of a value in that sense. It's an option. It really depends. I know what they're bringing out, but I could
Mm,
see that being a way that they did it. And maybe they just update the existing box if there's a replacement. So, like for example, if Empire have new infantry, do they do a reinforcement box still in the old format, or do they update? Do they bring out a new Battle March box with the new infantry in and focus just on the infantry, and then at some point update the existing one and update the state troops, for example? That's just a. There's lots of questions there of different ways they could go down.
yeah, I mean, I'm just sitting here thinking now, and I'm thinking, do you know what I would really like to see? I'd like to see it that maybe if in the future there was a faction that was already established, um, but then within the campaign setting of the narrative story that they're telling us,
Hmm.
there's perhaps a campaign journal,
Yeah,
arcane journal, bit like War of Scepter's Fury, that sort of
yeah.
thing. But then each of those armies within that could have a starter army of infamy
Mm,
that enabled you to play those campaigns
yeah, yeah. That'd be
as a
fun.
battle march sort of thing leading up to a maybe a bigger battle at the end. Um, or it could be, of course, that when they release in second, if it gets around to second edition and we're going off tangent a bit here, but if it got to second edition and then they bring Legacy back, the initial forces of fantasy, it's a lot easier to produce the miniatures to fill a battle march box than it is to produce a huge range of miniatures, isn't it?
Yeah.
Off the bat. So maybe they could do it as a staggered release of here's some miniatures to get you going.
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
want to double up on your Battle March boxes or treble up to make a bigger army, you can. But
yeah.
that's certainly something that they could be considering. It's yeah, it's opened up an entire new can of worms, hasn't it? Really?
Yeah, and they don't have to necessarily do the same thing every time.
No.
I mean, for example, the Battle March for Chaos, what they've shown that we haven't got yet, that could come with the March of Chaos Arcane Journal. There could be a
Yeah.
picture of them pointed up in that book, just as a. And now launched with this box is a dragon. In this book is a dragon and this Chaos Battle March, and then you go and buy the box and they do it like
Hmm.
that. But they won't always work because the Cathay one would just have to come along at the same time. But it could do, and like I said, you're using Empire as the example again. If there was an Empire focused journal and
Hmm.
they brought out some new plastics for them, could they bring out a new Battle March for them or something at the same time? And it'd be interesting. It's like an extra color page or 2 pages in an arcane journal that could do it. They may not always do it, but it would be a really interesting way of introducing new miniatures to the game each time they did it. And whether that's an updated Battle March that replaces the old, in fact, that may be the way they do it. That might, because it looks like we've got the these battle
Hmm.
marches with the older miniatures in. So maybe that's how they
Yes.
update them when they get their updates, because their updates, those miniature updates, are going to come with arcane journals. That's the way they deliver it every time. Maybe at that point you get your updated battle march box and it comes as a battle march pointed up in the book, like they have in this one, which would be really interesting. I'm really just excited to see how they do that, because there's plenty of ways of doing it. But I
Hmm.
wouldn't be sad if we didn't see those big reinforcements boxes. I quite like these smaller boxes in terms of value. Yeah, for things like marauders, that was great. For
Yeah.
peasants, it was probably great. For some armies, you might not need one of that size. You might not need that many of the same troop
No.
type, so to
And
speak.
I think we should note at this point as well that there has been a bit of a price crunch and that
Mm,
the unit sizes or the models provided per unit have been slightly reduced by
yeah,
around 20%. Um, yes, that will mean that overall it is more expensive to
yeah,
build an army. Um, it will still be nowhere near as expensive as any of the other Games Workshop games to build an army. So you will still be getting really quite good value for money, I think. Um, I appreciate that there are people that will say that I need a lot of this style of troops. What I call the clan rat conundrum, where you need thousands of them, but they're still the same price as a normal storm vermin or whatever. So
yeah.
it, that's going to be a bridge that's going to be crossed when they get to it. I would like to think that the Battle March boxes would possibly be a really good answer to that when
Mhm.
we get round to seeing those legacy factions come back. I'm not saying that we've heard anything that they are coming back. We haven't. We're just really hoping that at some point they do come back, because that would be the thing that makes the entire Warhammer universe sort of like complete for everybody. And
Yeah,
being able
absolutely.
to see all of those factions in Battle March boxes on the shelf in a local store would be, to have that amount of choice
Mm.
if you wanted to start playing the game, would be a truly wondrous thing, I think. Really
Yeah,
would.
I agree, and that to add to your point on price. So the battle march boxes that we definitely know are official, even though we can be
Mm,
sure on the pictures in that book. Cathay has 36 miniatures, Chaos has 38. Chaos has obviously got one old sculpt there, the rest are all new.
yeah.
I think when we'll get to some of the other boxes, there'll be a high number of miniatures, the older miniatures, so they can keep
Mm,
the balance of price. So you still get that value. But I imagine when they are re-released with newer sculpts in the future, that they will be shrunk in size in terms of number, and that's how they
yeah.
will keep the prices of them semi-aligned. I think they're slightly less, aren't they, than the battalion boxes, ever so slightly smaller, not an awful lot
I
smaller,
don't
but
think
ever
there's
so
a lot in
slightly.
it.
Yeah.
I
So
don't
and they
think
were
there's
what,
a lot in it.
£105 full RRP, I think, weren't they at the end? Or 115, sorry, 115 maybe
Were
full
they?
RRP, I think, for the battalion boxes. So I wonder if there will be some kind of trying to get them close to that £100 mark as possible. I'm pretty sure that the one remaining set that's left on the GW website is probably up to that. Well, what's left? What is it? I can't remember. Is it Wood Elves that are left
Wood
up? I think
Elves
it might be
and
Wood Elves.
Dwarves, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the dwarves are gone now when I last looked, but Wood Elves are still there. I'm pretty sure that was 115, are they? Yeah, but maybe. I don't know. I'm not going to check. People already know the answer.
Yeah.
We should pause and check, but who knows? It'd be lovely if these BattleMarch boxes, because they will feel smaller because of the size of the box and slightly less models for some. It'd be nice if they kind of just squeeze the price down a little bit, but time will tell. Let's focus a bit more on this then, because we've both had a chance to have a look through our own copies of this now, and talk about some of your favourite bits in it. And I talked a little bit about that in the thing I just did. I'm going to kick us off with this. I've been talking a lot about Empire, and I should put a proper image up, but I can't be bothered. I might do. I might put a picture up. There's a beautiful piece of artwork, which is Empire fighting orcs.
Yeah.
And it's new artwork. It's definitely new artwork. I've checked. And the artwork of the Empire State Troops is a really, really nice mix of the modern State Troops and the 6th edition State Troops. If you have a look, there's a lot more ruffs and folds going on, taken from 6th edition, but a lot of the headwear and helmets is a bit of a mix between the two. Lots more helmets rather than just the soft caps. It does change a little bit on the front cover, and that's new artwork as well. A lot more shoes than the latest State Troops. There's a lot more bare feet there. So I don't know, it might just be the modern artist interpretation of a kind of what Empire is, but wouldn't it be cool if that was also leaning towards concept art of what we come for the future? So that's the first, one of my first favourite things from this book, which has got absolutely nothing to do with BattleMarch or any of the rules or any of the content of it other than a nice picture, but I really, really, really love that. What about you, Mark? You have one of your first favourite bits from the book.
That it allows you, everybody's on the same balance level. I just like that. I like that from the book. It's clearly marking out we're probably going to be about 600 points.
Yeah,
you can use this system to play 400 to 750, but for the majority of people, they're just going to go into the store, aren't they, and buy the box set. And I like that. I've had a good look through all of the boxes, or all of the master lists, I should call them. And if that is the direction they're going, they all look quite nice. They all look evenish. They look to have a high level of what I would call fluff within them, because I think that they're really going to push the lore on these products to clearly define the factions, so that people can say, oh, that faction is this, they do that. To make it a little bit easier for new players to get into it. And I like that. I like the fact that they're making it easy. It can be an incredibly daunting thing to walk into a shop, not know what army you want to get, or go into a shop knowing what army you want to get, and then not having it, and then thinking, I don't want to walk out of here without anything. I'm going to go to my second choice. What's my second choice? Oh, not sure. So the fact that everything is laid out, that will enable you to make clear choices, from purely a community and new player perspective, is my first favourite thing about it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And this is probably repeating some of the stuff I've already talked about in general, but I really like that this has got a really nice balance of appeal between new and existing players. So that little bit of lore at the start of the book, and I talked about this in my separate video about this, but a little bit of lore at the start of the book is kind of a bit of a rehash to what we've already been told. But if you are new coming to the game now, you finally decided, let's pick up Warhammer the Old World because I like this BattleMarch thing. Sounds all right. I can give it a go. It kind of catches you up a little bit on what's been going on with those arcane journals, but also there's a lot of stuff in there for existing players that you can use in larger games. So the updated rules for baggage carts and stuff. There's no reason why you can't play that at a larger point size. You might have to adjust the wounds maybe, or have more than one. The secret objectives, you can adjust those for larger points games. We don't, everyone gets so kind of tied down into what is for what. And so much of this is just great ideas for playing fun games of Warhammer. The wilderness terrain, the chaos of war, you can use that in bigger games if you want to. You can get enraged trolls, the mercenaries, you can use those in bigger games. They fit lovely. If you're kind of person that plays the more laid back or narrative style games, all the extra random happenings and stuff, you can use those in bigger games. There's plenty there for bigger games, and I think I've not seen many. Most people are really super positive about this, but I've seen a few comments of, I only want to play bigger games. Fine, you can, but there is still stuff in there, or you can just completely ignore it, and it's not taking anything away from the game you already love. If you like playing bigger games, it doesn't hurt it at all. It just helps bring more people in who in the future are going to want to collect more toys, and when you have more toys, you want to put them all on the table at some point, and they're going to want to play bigger games. So I just can't see a negative.
You're only going to get a net positive out of it. If you only like playing big 2,000 point games, and your next size down of game that you like to play is something like Mordheim, this box is going to have no impact upon you whatsoever, other than that it's going to give you more people at some point down the line to play with. Likewise, if you're the sort of person who likes Mordheim, also likes 2,000 point games, but is looking for that little something in between because you haven't got the time to be able to commit to playing a big game every week, and sometimes it is difficult to squeeze things like that in. But a couple of hours is easily doable for most people. So I just like that. It's like there's no downside to it that is immediately apparent. I'm not saying that there won't be one at some point, because there could well be, but from initial looking at everything and how we think it's going to fall into place within the old world, it looks really good. It just looks incredibly positive. I've got real high hopes for what they do about campaigns and things like that with it. I hadn't thought about the Army of Infamy thing that you said about before, but the fact that they can design a BattleMarch balls around a campaign and then just say, we're going to produce this for like 6 months maybe, or whatever, and then just do it as a standalone for 6 months, and then it's no longer available. That to me is fantastic. That's the sort of thing that makes me want to keep coming back to the game, because if you've got that sort of level of interaction where they're giving people what they're looking for, who've only got that small amount of time, but still want to be able to play in an all-encompassing overall story arc, that's brilliant. That's not been done by Workshop before. They've tried it a few times, but it's generally been for bigger size forces, and it hasn't always fared too well. So the fact that we might get to do it at low level size forces is something really positive that I'm hopefully looking forward to if it does happen.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't want to bang on about this book too much, because also I've just put a video out about it. One, I suppose, final point on sort of a reflection on what they've done really well with this is that with the Arcane, I'm a big fan of the Arcane journals, but because they're trying to fit a lot of stuff in them, there's not always a coherent story throughout. There might be a bit of lore and background that works with one Army of Infamy, but they want to service another faction, so they have another Army of Infamy in there that might be sort of tangentially works with one of the others. Or you've got a few pages of campaign rules and then you jump to something else. And I think that's fine. I don't mind different audiences being catered for within one book. But as a product, this is incredibly coherent and complete. Yes, there are bits you can take out from it, but as one single product, it works really, really well. The only bit that's kind of extra to it, which isn't even extra, is the match play sort of guide the back towards playing it. And that's just another way of playing this. So I think that the update on the lore, the clever little mini story they're telling, the links with those BattleMarch armies, that then links with these BattleMarch scenarios that you really could get together with a group of friends starting the game, all with, in an ideal world, different boxes of this, playing and learning the game together using this stuff. And it kind of gives you that whole all-round introduction to the game, because you start playing the game, you start to learn the game, you learn about the lore at the same time while playing in a mini campaign all about it, and it just links so well together. I think it's just a really sort of coherent single book that does the job. I think it's very impressive from that point of view. So I think they've done a great job of it. One of the best things they've done for a while.
It's very, very well written. I've only found one issue with it, and I don't know how they're going to do that, but it says that your maximum unit strength is 20.
Yeah.
There are certain armies where you have the ability to take a unit of 20 that have to be split 10 and 10. I think like the Royal Host cohort, I think has to be like 10 archers and 10 warriors for the Tomb Kings. So if you then wanted to put a character in there, what happens?
So why do they have to be split? Sorry, what was
normally it's the Royal Host allows you to have this special
oh, I see,
phalanx that has 10 archers and 10 hand weapons or spear people in the same unit, like the old split arms units used to be.
I'm with you.
But it has to be 10 of each from what I can understand. And I've been through 3 or 4. I've been through the book. I've been through 3 or 4 of the army builders, and it won't let me change the minimum numbers to anything less than 10. So if your if your force can only be unit strength 20, how do I go about getting a? I mean, it could be something as simple as you choose one and just displace it. And I'm absolutely fine with that. That is no problem whatsoever. I just think that could be potentially a little bit confusing for a new player. I've got this hero. I want to put him in a unit of my soldiers to protect him. Oh, that doesn't fit. And the army builder I'm using or new recruit or whatever won't let me fit. Oh. So
that's an errata or a FAQ question, isn't it? That says that, with a small exception, that says that in games of BattleMarch, that max restriction drops from 10 down to 5 or something like that, just half it, and it works then, doesn't it?
You may displace one figure.
Yes, yeah.
Because otherwise you'll still get the thing of people trying to put a couple of characters into a unit in BattleMarch, that's not really BattleMarch, is it?
It's not. But I think there's a lot you can do with BattleMarch, and I think the simpler way of doing it is just to reduce the minimum unit sizes, which they've been doing anyway already. We've seen your minimum unit size, so that would be a more consistent change. And in terms of dealing with players' excesses, that's probably a different question, because they haven't resolved that, as we discussed in our previous FAQ chat. We haven't resolved that yet, but we will see. Hopefully the points would kind of deal with that a little bit anyway, and how many characters you can get in your army, and if you ended up putting them both in one unit, then you'd weaken yourself in another way. So that might well backfire on you in BattleMarch anyway, to be honest with you. But there's going to be, if people play this with a competitive mindset, then they will find ways to break it. They always will, no matter what you do with it. But I think the simplest, most elegant change would be to just reduce, if there's maximums like that don't really fit within the point structure of BattleMarch, and they've missed it, then they just need to go along and reduce it.
That's fine. I'll be equally fine with that. But literally, that is the only thing I could possibly find. Thumbs up to him. Look, it sounds a bit like a broken record. I'm really sorry, people. You're going to hear us. Well, potentially me, maybe not so much Stu, but probably Stu as well. You're going to hear us harp on about this, because this is going to be a topic that is going to be talked about for quite a long time, because GW will go all in on this as the starting mechanism for the old world.
Yeah.
Which means that you've got a lot of boxes coming out of BattleMarch.
Yeah.
And you know, and we love talking about BattleMarch. And just hope that it doesn't get too much of one thing to the extent where, like Cathay after a year was too much of one thing. So
Yeah.
that's the only other possible danger I can see. But really, it's it's picking holes for the sake of picking holes. If I'm honest, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think you've just answered the question. Really, is it a fad for the relaunch or here to stay? And I think you were saying it's going to be a delivery tool, and I agree. I think it's quite clearly going to be a delivery tool for selling miniatures, essentially. They turned something that was fun and easier for people to play the game. Now they can also see it as a way of boxing and packaging collections of miniatures to sell, which is what Games Workshop do. They are a miniatures selling company. So I think for that reason, it's going to stay. I think if you are bored of hearing BattleMarch, some of it is going to be one of those just kind of, it's about how you filter it, I suppose. If you don't want to play BattleMarch size games, you don't have to. And you're potentially in a group of players that will either quickly get bored of it and grow their new armies and want to play bigger games, as I've already said, or you're already in a group of players that are playing big games anyway. And then all you really need to do is see those boxes as new battalion boxes, and treat them on merit as you would any other set of box of miniatures before. Would I buy that to start an army? Yes, brilliant. Would I not? No, don't buy it, and just take it from there, because BattleMarch isn't going to take away from the rest of the game. I think it's going to get more people playing who wouldn't play before, and a few more people playing it as an option where they're limited at time, maybe on club nights and things. But it's far from going to replace the size of the main size of the game. You'll see a couple more BattleMarch events crop up, but all these big events that are around the world at the moment, people aren't going to go, we're changing it to BattleMarch now. It's just not going to happen. No. So I just can't see anything other than this being a positive way into the game, and or a positive way to play the game if you don't have the time, space, money, or whatever it is for the bigger armies all the time.
Although for TOs, I should say, to quickly comment on that, if there's TOs out there that are looking at the 1 day 5 games of BattleMarch or 4 games of BattleMarch format, that is going to win you a lot of points with gamer dads and with people that can afford to go to a 1 day event but can't do a 2-dayer and still have a real good time of it as a social event. So do bear that in mind if you're a TO, that opens up a lot of doors for you for an entirely new crowd of event goers to come and play at your events. So that'd be interesting to see how that pans out. Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. Well, I think the answer from us is that it's here to stay, and that's a good thing.
It is.
We definitely want to know what you guys will think about that in the comments below. So please do share. If you have thought of something we've missed that you think there is a danger to the bigger game, I honestly can't see it other than it being a generalized objection that someone's focused on. That means sounds like I'm closed-minded to it. I'm not. So just respectfully argue your point, because I'm interested. There might be something I've overlooked, but I just can't see it how it's a negative thing in any way at all. Anyway, Mark, would you like to shout out before we say goodbye to the lovely viewers?
Just all the usual culprits, really. UK Resin Print, Max at Barefoot, Berno at Barefoot, Renowned Forge and David, Team England, Rick at Pointy Paints.
Cool. Great stuff. Well, thank you as always for watching or listening to us rambling. If you do like to listen on the go, because it's a podcast, this as such as anything else, remember that if you download the Google Music app, or the YouTube Music app, I think it's called now, it's replaced the old Google Podcasts app, you can just download it offline and just listen to an audio version of this, and it's really fun that when you're watching it, you can flick it between video and audio, but it means that you don't have to have YouTube Premium in order to sort of download something and listen on the go. So if you like your podcast in a podcast format on the go, when you're on the train, when you're exercising at the gym, cycling, walking, etc., you can listen to this in that way. Well, I'm not going to be paying for hosting and putting it out on anywhere else. So that's the way to do that. That's a very free and global way that people can listen to it for free. So it's worth checking out. If you weren't aware, you can listen to us in that way. Check out the links in the video description below. Join the Miniature Realms Discord. It's a nice, friendly place. Come and join us over there. It's really, really good fun. And then if you want to support me and the channel even more, please check out the links that are related to my Patreon, which is the best way of supporting me. And there's also channel memberships as well. Lots of different available tiers on the Patreon, only one on memberships. But if you don't want to join Patreon, it's an option. You get a better deal at Patreon. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. Take care. We'll catch you soon.
Take care, everyone.